Battle through the firmament. Great world. Chapter 429 The Doppelganger's Pursuit. Hoo. A continuous wind suddenly blew over from within the dense forest. The branches emitted cracking sounds. The moment Xiaoyan looked at the middle-aged man, a cold aura surged out from the latter's body at the same time, causing the air around him to continuously explode. This aura instantly attracted the attention of Ma Huyang and the other two. All of their eyes were shocked as they looked towards the distant sky. The middle-aged man's white hair was draped over his shoulders and he wore a white robe. The few of them were like prey that had been targeted by ferocious beasts, and their bodies involuntarily trembled. Xiaoyan's nerves were extremely tensed. His eyes stared intently at the sky. The demonic flame surged into his eyes. Spiritual strength surged out from between his brows and surged towards the middle-aged man in an overwhelming manner. This isn't a physical body. Under the powerful soul energy, the middle-aged man's body trembled slightly. His entire body seemed to be made up of a huge origin key, like a rootless duckweed. Clone. Ma Huyang instantly reacted. He gritted his teeth and laughed lightly. Even if it's a clone, its strength should be far beyond Emperor cultivation level. As he spoke, the middle-aged man in the air suddenly moved. He had already rushed towards them. His body was like a fierce wind, tearing the space apart. Let's go. Sensing the strength of the middle-aged man, Ma Huyang decisively gave up on the idea of fighting with him. If the four of them used all their trump cards, they might be able to compete with him. However, that was under circumstances where they had no other choice. He wanted to use it as a backup plan and planned to use it at its peak. Since the four academies competition had chosen this place, after so many days, they had a rough understanding of it. It was not only to compare their individual strength, but also to test the overall strength of the team and the degree of cooperation of the team. Whether they could survive here was also one of the core aspects of the trial. As the leader of the team's strength, Ma Huyang naturally wouldn't joke about the lives of his teammates. After drinking the extreme will heavenly spring given by Xiaoyan, their physical strength had almost fully recovered. Although the origin key in their bodies consumed a lot of energy, it was still enough to support their escape. Boom! The middle-aged man was like a cannonball as he fell from the sky. His fist landed on the ground that the few of them had just stood on. In an instant, the ground seemed to tremble slightly. Soon after, several dense spiderweb-like cracks swiftly spread across the ground with the middle-aged man at the center. The attack did not hit him. The middle-aged man did not say anything. His dark and cold eyes looked at Xiaoyan and the others who had left far away. His body moved like a gentle breeze as he chased after them. Although they were shocked by the middle-aged man's strength, Xiaoyan and the others didn't stop at all. They exerted their movement technique to the extreme and rushed upwards. It had been nearly 10 days since they arrived at the hill where the first arena was located. As long as they arrived at the second arena, there would be Star Moon towns there that would listen to the orders of the Star Moon town. At that time, it would be much easier for them to deal with the middle-aged man. Xiaoyan, was it him that you said that day? Lindao's figure was like a dragon, and he was the fastest among them. However, he suddenly spoke as he was running beside Xiaoyan. After they obtained the battle command from the giant ape, Xiaoyan suddenly felt a bone-deep cold aura. Hence, they quickly left. The sudden appearance of this mysterious middle-aged man reminded him of what had happened that night. More or less, Xiaoyan also woke up from a dream after being reminded by Lindao. Immediately, his heart was startled. In other words, not long after they entered the mountain, they were targeted by this middle-aged man. Who is this guy? Ma Huyang's figure leapt in the air, easily leaping over a huge rock. He waved the heavenly net sword in his hand, instantly chopping the huge rock into countless rocks. As the sword key swept across, all the rocks flew towards the middle-aged man, temporarily slowing down his speed and buying some time for the few of them to escape. There are many forbidden areas on Star Moon Island. Under the watchful eyes of some old men, it's impossible for anyone to break into this place. In this way, there is only one possibility. Xiaoyan gritted his teeth. Suddenly, a bright light burst out from his eyes. What? Wu Shaoqi, who was by the side, did not idle either. She held a bright red hard bow in her hand. As she pulled the bowstring, numerous fire arrows shot out. They carried ferocious might as they pierced through the air and shot towards the middle-aged man. Although they did not cause any harm to the middle-aged man, they also hindered his speed. Ma Huyang and Lin Dao also looked towards the former when they heard Xiaoyan's analysis. This fellow should have escaped from the forbidden area. Hearing this, their facial expression changed, but they didn't show any signs of shock. They had vaguely thought of this point, but hearing what Xiaoyan said, it was still extremely shocking. No wonder a clone has the strength of an emperor cultivation. If I came here, I'm afraid we wouldn't even know how we died. Wu Shaoqi's face was filled with excitement. In this kind of crisis, only she could smile. This sovereign clone, Xiaoyan mumbled to himself when he heard this. He suddenly looked at Ma Huyang and said in a deep voice, "Senior Mu, do you think the other 3 academies have encountered the same situation?" It's possible. Ma Huyang instantly thought of this. Since they had set their eyes on the mountain forest, the other 3 courtyards naturally wouldn't be able to escape. This is getting more and more interesting. Xiaoyan clenched his teeth and laughed softly. Beads of sweat were already dripping from his forehead. This competition had unknowingly exceeded everyone's expectations. On the west side of the island of Star Moon, the 4 men from the Southern Sky Academy were also crazily running about in the forest. Zhou Buyi was at the last position of the 4 men. He looked at a middle-aged man in white who was chasing closely behind with a gloomy expression on his face. He clenched his fist, but he still gritted his teeth and gave up on his plan. Although he wanted to compete with him, he had to take Zhou Exingyu into consideration. If they really fought together, the weakest Zhou Exingyu might get hurt. It would be more painful than killing him. What the hell is this thing? Zhou Buyi stepped on the ground with the tip of his foot. He rushed forward like a cannonball. The middle-aged man did not seem to feel anything. He did not say anything and chased after them closely. Naturally, he did not know anything from Zhou Buyi's mouth. Who are you? Beside a river, Shang Shaoshan looked at the middle-aged man with white hair and a solemn expression on his face. Beside him, Wu Tiandu and Shi Kanghai also had solemn expressions on their faces. Kang Feng stood behind Shang Shaoshan and his eyes revealed a rare glint as he looked at the middle-aged man with an expressionless face. Boom! The middle-aged man replied to Shang Shaoshan's question. In an instant, his strength far exceeded that of an ordinary emperor cultivation, causing everyone to be shocked. This is a clone. I have no idea where this true body is. Green light rose from his eyes. With the help of the heavenly martial origin eye, Wu Qian quickly discovered the identity of the middle-aged man. Immediately, he shouted out loudly, and the few of them retreated at the same time. Even though they were considered to be the best amongst monarch emperor-level warriors, they were still unable to create any big waves in the face of emperor cultivation warriors. Let's go. Kang Feng didn't attack. He just stared at the strength displayed by the middle-aged man. With a cold shout, he waved his robe. He took the lead and left. Shang Shaoshan looked at the middle-aged man with a gloomy expression and waved his hand. With Wu Tiandu, Shi Kanghai followed Kang Feng. If Shang Hao was here, with the combined strength of the 5 of them. But now, the only thing they could do was to escape. In the dense forest, in a flat open space, a white-robed middle-aged man with white hair and shoulder-length hair was sitting cross-legged. His hands were placed on his legs and his fingers moved lightly. In an instant, he had grasped the situation of the 4 clones. I don't need to personally deal with you guys. A bunch of ants, I'll play with you guys. Green light flickered in his eyes. The middle-aged man shook his head and revealed a sinister smile. With a flick of his 10 fingers, 4 white origin kiss flowed out from his fingertips and shot into the sky, quietly rushing in 4 different directions. Boom! Suddenly, a vibrating sound was heard. In the next moment, The four Origin Kiss seemed to have suffered a heavy blow and were destroyed, causing the middle-aged man's expression to change slightly. People from the Star Moon Town. The middle-aged man was still sitting cross-legged. His eyes were cold as he spoke in a soft voice. That's right, Zhou Tianlang. How dare you come out? As the middle-aged man's voice faded, a robust old man walked out from the dense forest behind him. His eyes flickered with a light that seemed to be able to see through everything. Chapter end. Please guys like, comment, share, and subscribe.